All right, friends, for this video, you need your science notebook and your pencil. So go ahead and get that now. All right, so in your expert groups, you just got your information about a temperature map, a front map, a radar map, a precipitation map, a satellite map, and a wind speed map. So let's go ahead and go to page 75 and number that. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we learned about 6 different weather maps that help us to know the current weather. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look more closely at the information contained on those maps and decide how meteorologists can predict the weather with those. So what we're going to do is we're going to title page 75, Meteorologist. I cannot spell. Don't mess up like me. Meteorologist. And maps. So go ahead and pause. Ooh, copy down. Meteorologist and maps. Okay, so meteorologists have a very important job. What they do is they predict the weather, and when they predict the weather, it's not just for them. It's for people like you, people like me, people who work at the airport that decide where the planes land and if they can land based on the weather, bus drivers to make sure it's safe to drive the bus, people who ship your packages. If the weather is bad, they need to know if there's road closures and stuff like that. So it keeps people safe. It keeps our stuff safe as you travel and as other people travel. So meteorologists, and yes, it's a lot, but I'm going to read it first. So put your pencil down. Did you put it down? All right. Meteorologists are scientists that study weather. That's what they do. They study the weather. When they study the weather, they use equipment to determine the atmospheric conditions. So they use different equipment to see what the atmosphere is like. Some of the equipment they might use is computers, weather balloons, weather maps, like we just used when we were doing all of our maps, and then the radar. And then they also predict how the weather will change. So go ahead and pause, and then you're going to copy all that down. Now you can pick up your pencil. All right, now we're going to talk about some of the map symbols that we might see on some of the maps that the meteorologists are looking at. And I know we talked about some of them in our expert groups. So we're going to put some of them on here so that we have them in our notes. All right, so when we're checking our weather in the mornings, these are some of the symbols that we see. So when we see this one, this means it is sunny. And when we see this one, it means it's what? What do you think? Cloudy. When we see this one, I see part of the sun and part of the clouds. So we usually see that as partly cloudy. Sometimes they'll call it partly sunny, but for the most part, it's called partly cloudy. Then this one at the bottom, we hardly ever see that one here in Texas, but it does sometimes show up on maps. And since we're becoming familiar with maps, we need to know that that one means there's a chance of snow or it's going to be snowy. Then we have this one over here, and this is usually the one we see in Texas. That one means thunderstorms. Sometimes you'll just see the rain by itself, which is rainy, but most of the time we see thunderstorms because in Texas we mostly see thunderstorms. Sometimes we see hurricanes, and sometimes we see tornadoes. So once you have that copied down, you need to get a blue and a red map pencil or crayon. Turn the page. We're going to number it 76 and add a couple more. You're going to title page 76, Major Elements of Weather. All right, so the first one is going to be a blue H. So usually on a map, you'll see a large blue H, and that means it's a high pressure system. And that means it's usually or generally going to bring pleasant weather. So go ahead and pause and copy that down. All right, the next one is a red L. So when you see the large red L on the map, it means it is a low pressure system. And that brings weather that is usually stormy with clouds and precipitation. All right, the next one is a cold front, and that's usually a blue line with blue triangles. And that means it's going to bring colder, drier air. The temperatures decrease or gets lower. And these triangles are like arrows, and they point in the direction that the cold front is moving. So if they're pointing up, the cold front is moving north. If they're pointing down, it's moving south. If it's to the right, it's going to the east. To the left, it's going to the west. So wherever the arrows are pointing, that's which way it's moving. All right, the next one is a warm front. And what you'll notice about this one is it is a red line with red half circles. And that means that there's going to be warmer, moist air. The temperatures are going to increase or go up. And kind of like this one, the half circles are going to point in the direction that the warm front is moving as to which way it's headed. So copy that one down, and then we have one more. Okay, so the last one kind of looks like a fun one. You have the warm front, cold front, warm front, cold front, warm front, and that's called a stationary front. It's a combination of both the warm and cold fronts. So both of them are present. Both of them are there. So make sure you have all that copied down on page 76. All right, once you have page 76 done, I want you to go ahead and fill out your table of contents. And then raise your hand, because then I'm going to let you know what you're going to do next.